tragedy, and we don't want anybody to die because we transfer detainees. However, it's the best judgment and the considered judgment of this administration and the previous administration that the risk of keeping Gitmo open is outweighed.
So the innocent people who are going to lose their lives because of this, they're just part of the equation.
No, sir, they're
I'm sorry, I want to tell you this much. As far as I'm concerned, if one child is saved because she would have been blown up by someone who's being released, it's better to keep all 90 of those people in Gitmo.
A heated exchange during a hearing before the House Foreign Affairs Committee as debate grows over whether or not the Obama administration should close Guantanamo Bay. A defense official confirming that detainees released from the detention camp have returned to terror cells and killed Americans. Stephen Dinan is the political editor of the Washington Times. Thanks for being with us. The director of national intelligence reported this month that 5% of Guantanamo prisoners released since January 2009 have re-engaged in terrorism. And now, as you saw, testimony from Paul Lewis, the Pentagon's special envoy for Guantanamo closure, saying specifically that Americans have died at the hands of released Gitmo detainees. What's your reaction?
Yeah, look, this hearing yesterday was not a good moment if you're President Obama, whose stated goal is to close this prison by the time he leaves office. Not only did you have that revelation that Americans have been killed by released detainees, but you also had the administration admit that if detainees are brought to a prison in the U.S., that would also be a terrorist recruiting tool. That undercuts one of the big selling points, or one of the big arguments the administration is making for why we need to close the base at Guantanamo, essentially that it itself is a terrorist recruiting tool. Well, if the prison they get moved to in the U.S., the 40 or so that can't be transferred out and have to be kept somewhere, if they get moved to a prison in the U.S. and that prison is likewise a terrorist recruiting tool, well, then what's the difference between Gitmo and here?
Well, yes, as you say, under this plan, some of these detainees would be moved to the United States, but also under that plan by President Obama to close Guantanamo Bay, which was sent to Congress last month, some of the detainees would be sent to other countries such as Ghana and Uruguay. And the chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, Ed Royce, said yesterday that these countries are not equipped with the kind of intel and security needed to monitor these terror suspects, and that increases the risk that they'll plot more attacks. Do you agree?
Well, no, what you said is exactly right. There are some 27 other countries that have taken detainees who basically are not from those countries but have agreed to accept them. Some of them apparently are capable of handling this, but the questions are being raised about those that aren't. You mentioned Uruguay, and there's a lot of question about 6 detainees who are sent to Uruguay, and in particular whether that country not only has the capability but the intention or the determination to track these folks and make sure that they are not that they don't get back into mischief. There was an exchange yesterday between the State Department and Congressman Chris Smith, who was saying, hey, look, we need to know what you how you evaluate the actual leaders of Uruguay. We don't have faith in them. And the State Department witness essentially said, I don't have an evaluation of the chief guy there. We're just convinced that we're right. And, you know, that's the problem at this point, is you have the Obama administration telling a hostile Congress on this issue, hey, trust us, we're right. There's not very much trust in Congress for the Obama administration. It's why the president is not going to get this closed before the end of his term.
It is an interesting hearing. We'll continue to follow it. Stephen Dinan, Washington Times, thank you.